It was in early 1983 when I arrived here at the Auckland Regional Botanic Gardens with friends and family. And at that time, the gardens had only been open for less than 12 months, so it was a whole lot less developed than it is now. But we all gathered down there on the grassy slope. And I got married. After the ceremony, we made our way to the Papakura Rugby Club. And it was in there that the reception was held. And the band was a bunch of mates and biker friends who gave of their time and energy for free. They did an amazing version of Black Magic Woman by Santana. So the drinks did flow, and eventually the blood did spill because a fight broke out between myself and my new brother-in-law. He was getting a bit agitated about all these biker friends of mine and the loud music, and I probably didn't help matters when I told him he was acting like a wanker. But my biker mates all managed to break us apart. The party carried on. So the very next day, my new wife and I jumped on an aeroplane, and it certainly wasn't one of these out here at this airfield, and we headed off to what turned out to be a 12-month OE, overseas experience. It's what lots of young Kiwis and Aussies do, take off and explore the world. And our first port of call was Sydney in Australia, where we stayed with some friends for a couple of weeks. I just love Sydney, it's a great city. So while we were there one night, our friends gathered a whole lot of people together. We had a bit of a session around the table. One of the chaps that was there was a guy called Bill, and Bill was a bit of a guru or spiritual leader from a commune down country somewhere, and he was a lot older than the rest of us. He must have been at least 40 while we were all 20 something, so he was ancient. Anyway, Bill was holding court, telling us all about life, the universe and everything, and how to achieve enlightenment in your lifetime, and how he had become an enlightened person. He was full of it, in other words. At one part of the evening, somebody says to Bill, "Bill, is there anybody here that you think will achieve enlightenment in their lifetime?" Funnily enough, Bill looked at me and said, "Yes, I believe this guy will achieve enlightenment in his lifetime." You could have knocked me down with a feather, Trevor, because I hadn't said boo to a ghost all evening, sort of thing. So Bill said, "Yeah, this guy, I believe, achieve enlightenment during his lifetime, and he will achieve it around about his 40th year, and it will begin with the birth of his first child." And then he turned to my new wife and said, quite bluntly, "But I don't see you as the mother of those children." I thought he was full of it anyway, but you know, my 40th year has come and gone. The light still hasn't turned on. In fact, I gave up my search for truth a long time ago. I've been looking for a good fantasy ever since. But he was right about that young bride not being the mother of my children. So we carried on with our travels after that little visit to Sydney. Went through Thailand, off to the UK, through Europe, came back, spent 3 months in India, down through Malaysia, flew to Perth, across Australia and back to New Zealand. So 6 months after arriving back in New Zealand, like this road, it came to an end. And so I had to turn my life around and start again. It was all over, Red Rover. And so we separated. She took the dog and the car. I kept the motorbike. I reckon I got the better deal, although the dog was pretty cool. So we jumped forward 12 months or more into early 1986, again at the Auckland airport, this time to see some friends off who were going off on their big OE. When I walked into the bar and across the crowded room, a vision of beauty, and I felt an electric shock, what I have since referred to as my cosmic blast. And I thought to myself, wow, she'd be worth chasing. So all night long I was trying to work up the courage to ask her if I could buy her a drink. Finally got the chance as we were both heading towards the bar, when my mate Wonky, so named because of the way he rode his bike, zoomed in and offered to buy her a drink. And being the polite, lovely lady that she is, of course she said yes. So I slunk away into the background. And the next day I went round to my friend's house, whose girlfriend had introduced me to this vision of beauty. She was a mutual friend. And I said to her, you know that blonde chick at the airport last night, da 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 da. She said, oh no Marty, no, she doesn't want to get into a relationship. No, don't even think about it, don't go there. So once again, my heart sunk, my hopes were dashed. Now, at the time I was working for a couple of contractors installing air conditioning units, mostly into commercial buildings, and a few days after we were installing some units at a freight forwarding company out near the airport. And when I turned up, the building was 99% finished. The company that it was built for had moved in, so their offices were functioning. They had the reception desk and a beautiful receptionist, and as I walked past I thought, oh gee, she looks like that girl from the other night. I said, can't be. So all morning I was finding every excuse under the sun to go back to the van to get another tool. I think I bought the whole toolbox in. One piece at a time. And the whole time I'm telling myself, yes it is her, talk to her, you should talk to her, go and talk to her. But being socially inept, as I still am, I couldn't bring up the courage to go up to her at the reception desk and talk to her. At one point I'm in their lunchroom installing ducting and grills and things in the ceiling, so I'm up a ladder, and who should be there but this vision of beauty again. And we said hello. I'm still trying to convince myself to ask her out, talk to her, do something. Oh dear, I'm up this ladder looking down. Yes, it's definitely her. You bloody idiot, talk to her. But I didn't bring up the courage to say anything to her, apart from hello. That night I went back to my, our mutual friend's place, and I said to her, just in passing, you know, because she'd already warned me off, that girl Trisha, you know, brought to the airport the other night, does she work at Freightways International by any chance? Oh yes, she does actually, Marty, yeah. Oh yeah, I was working there today, I thought it was her, yeah. The next day we're at a different job, another part of the city, and I go down to a phone box, because this is in the days before cell phones, of course. I look up in the phone book for Freightways International, ring the number, and sure enough, I get this beautiful receptionist, Freightways International, Trisha speaking. I said, Trisha, you probably don't remember me. We met at the airport the other night, Marty. Yeah. Oh yes, oh hi, how are you? Oh yeah, I'm good. I was just wondering, would you like to go out for dinner with me sometime? Oh, that'd be lovely, she says. And woohoo! So we made a date. I've made all sorts of plans how I was going to be so cool and suave and take her out for dinner and all that sort of thing. But my idiocy had not finished. A day or so later I suddenly realised I'd double booked myself, because I had enrolled in a welding course, a night course, and it was due to start on the night that I'd asked Trisha out for dinner. So I had to call her back and explain what a dumb thing I'd done. She says, oh well, never mind, when you finish your course why don't you come round and we'll have a couple of drinks. I said, oh that'd be lovely, okie doke. So the said night comes along and I turn up in my welding course. The buildings are all dark and there's nobody in the vicinity, and there's no cars parked anywhere. And you guessed it, I was a week early. I went and bought a couple of bottles of wine, stuck my tail between my legs, and went off and confessed to my stupidness. I was forgiven immediately, because Trisha's like that. And that, my friends, is how I met my partner, my soulmate, my best friend, the love of my life. Coming up for our 30th wedding anniversary this year, and as everybody knows, life is a roller coaster that we all...